The Joe Rogan Experience.
You were asking me about, we're back, yeah. You were asking me about, why I get attracted to these kind of subjects. And they don't seem attractive on the surface, but when the more you get into them, the more they can be exciting. So I am a dramatist at heart. That is what I do best, which is to dramatize situations, take something and bring it to life. So taking the Kennedy murder was extremely challenging, and I knew it could work. I felt like it could work, and it was a surprise. Yeah, like Platoon. I mean, basically, how can you take this? War is boring. There's a lot of details. I was in 4 different units. Time, not much happens, and then suddenly things happen. It's not that easy to make it happen in a movie space. So I took 2 different sergeants from 2 different units. And I imagined what would they be like if they were in the same unit. They would clash. One would be the law and order guy, as a guy who believed in what he was doing and he fought it viciously. And the other guy is the guy who was who was a rebel, who was a bit like my own character. My father was much of a law and order guy. My mother was very much a rebel. And I kind of put that into this conflict because I saw it in every platoon. There was people who were like doing marijuana, people who were doing alcohol. There was that split kind of. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the black guys I hung out with were doing marijuana, and they were doing music. The music was unbelievable. But they had a different kind of music than the Okie music. So it was all the split in these platoons. I saw it constantly. Black, white, and country, city, sensibilities. Also, a very important point is that I found over time that the law and order guys often were the most racist in terms of coming down on the Vietnamese civilians. Because we did jungle duty, but we also did a lot of civilian villages, search them. We'd find stores, weapons, this, that. Not necessarily they were cooperating, but sometimes they were forced to. But a lot of guys screwed with them, didn't like the Vietnamese at all, which was not the black problem. That was more of it was a white problem. So I felt there was a lot of that going on, and I couldn't, that was not my thing, and I just really didn't like what I saw. There's a lot of cowardice, too.
Could only imagine. And that's a shock education. I mean, you talk about like a no escape, just thrust into this completely volatile, chaotic world, and then introduced to a bunch of different people that you weren't around.
Yeah, and then when I got out, I got thrown into jail. It's in the book, too,
What for?
For federal smuggling marijuana, coming back from Mexico.
How much did you have?
I had just an ounce or 2.
Really? That's it? Federal smuggling for an ounce or 2?
I'd taken some Vietnamese grass home.
Oh, yeah?
But I never went home. I just went right to Mexico.
Oh.
So it was a few days later, I was in the jail.
Wow.
Called my father and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm in trouble." He said, "Why haven't you called me? Where you been we knew you got out 2 weeks ago at Fort Lewis." And I said, "Dad, you want to hear where I'm at?" And blah, blah, blah. And he got me out. He got me out with some money.
Wow.
Without it, I would have been sunk into that prison. It was awful. Prison was filled with blacks and Latinos. I mean, there were 5,000 people in there for 2,000 beds. Wow. That was the beginning of the drug war. Nixon had been elected but had not yet declared the war on drugs, but it was filled. Most of them nonviolent crimes, you see.
Yeah.
And I saw that side of America coming out. So we have a lot of law and order types here.
Yes. Well, that law and order stuff was instituted when they passed that sweeping Psychedelics Acts of 1970.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, what they were trying to do is they were trying to squash the civil rights movement. Yeah. That's a big part of what they were trying to do. They were trying to make everything incredibly illegal, Schedule 1, so that they could have a reason to infiltrate these groups and start arresting people and break the groups up.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And J. Edgar Hoover was still around, unfortunately. He had a lot of influence on this. Marijuana had been the devil drug.
What a fascinating character he was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they never got him yet on movies.
No, God, almost impossible to really get. I really wish there was more. I mean, real personal footage of all the crazy shit that he was actually into.
Yeah,
we can get an understanding of how nuts it was that this guy was in charge of spying on people.
And Lyndon Johnson, you have to ask, did Lyndon Johnson really believe the bullshit he was talking about? The black civil rights movement had a communist basis, that the communism was supporting it. I mean, that was very much Hoover's thesis.
Yeah. Well, that was a great way to get people motivated to see your side of things back then,
Yeah.
During the whole Cold War scare and the Red Scare, it's like communism being a motivating factor for any group.
Yeah. Yeah.